Hi, it's Travis White with the Persuasive Communication Tip of the Week. Companies spend a lot of time and a lot of money thinking about their formal messaging, and that may be branding, it may be slogans, it may be logos, it may be the formal messages they give in their advertising and their communications and so forth. But one of the things they rarely pay attention to is metaphors. What are the metaphors that their employees use to describe their business and to describe the way they do business and the way they engage with customers? So I want to caution you to think about your metaphors as an executive, and if you're a potential consumer of that company's goods and services, or if you're a potential employee of that company, you can find out a lot, not only by reading the formal messaging, but also by listening to employees talk and understanding the metaphors that they use. So let me talk about two different metaphors as examples here. Both of these metaphors I've heard more than once. I've heard them from my clients. I've heard them from other companies that I might want to work with, or other companies where I did work. So one is called the servant, the other is called the warrior metaphor. And let's talk about the servant metaphor. In this metaphor, I might ask an employee, what's it like to work here? And the employee would say something like, we think of ourselves as servants to our customers. We think the customer is really important. We want to understand them. We want to understand their habits, and we serve solutions to those customers. So we see them as the most important people in the world. We see ourselves as servants to those people. That's one metaphor. Here's another metaphor, the warrior metaphor. What's it like to work here? The employee says, it's like combat. It's like warfare. We've got a lot of competition out there, and it's tooth and nail, and it's hard fought, and it's banging heads against each other all day long, and it's like hand-to-hand combat, and it's really exciting, but it's really a tough kind of company environment. Well, think about those two metaphors. Which company would you prefer to work for? I think I would certainly prefer to work for that one that used the servant metaphor, and where employees kind of naturally provide that as the description of how their company operates and what day-to-day life is like. So it's a very important recruiting tool. It's a very important tool for a potential employee to think about what are the metaphors. It's also for potential customers. Think about what are the metaphors. Which company would you prefer to buy from? The servant-oriented metaphor or the warrior-oriented metaphor? It's also a metaphor that could be used by potential investors. Which company would you prefer to invest in? So it provides a lot of information because it's a very natural kind of description. If you're an executive of those companies, one of the things you'll want to do is also ask your employees, what's it like to work here? And listen very carefully to the metaphors they use. You may want to then change the metaphors. You may want to then seed stories that will change the culture and change the metaphors that are used. This is an important clue for you as an executive as to what your employees are thinking, what life is like out there in the trenches, and how you might want to change that and change the stories that your employees use and change the metaphors that they use. So it's something we don't think about very often. It's something that we ought to think about more often. Metaphors communicate very effectively, sometimes too effectively, about what your company is about. So that's a Persuasive Communication Tip of the Week. See you again next week.